Have you ever met someone very smart, very educated, working hard, and yet they're constantly stressed about money? And maybe that person is you. And then you look at someone else, they're not necessarily smarter, they don't have better degrees or education, but somehow they are way more successful financially. So if you want to know why is that, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly why that is. By the way, if that's the first time you see me, my name is Abel, and I worked in a wealth management company in Geneva, Switzerland. I graduated in international wealth management from the prestigious Paris-Dauphine University, and I'm a certified financial advisor and cryptocurrency trainer. Here, I only speak as a trainer, no financial advice. My motto is wealth with purpose, freedom by design, and that's what we're building here. So back to that question. What separates the person who earns well but stays stressed from the person who earns less but becomes rich faster is not income, it's not intelligence, it's behavior. But behavior is never the root cause. Behind every financial behavior is also an emotional pattern. And behind every emotional pattern is an identity. A story running often unconsciously about who you are and what you deserve. And today we are going that story, breaking it down into 3 identity shifts. That needs to happen, so let's go. The first one, from consumer to owner. The first shift starts with one question. When money comes, who gets paid first? Most people run through the same sequence without thinking. The rent, subscription, car payment, credit card minimum, expenses, and if anything's left, they save it. Maybe they invest for the future a little bit. Robert Kiyosaki calls this paying yourself last. And most people don't even realize they're doing it. It's just the default mode. You pay everyone else first and hope something remains for you. But people who have a desire to create financial freedom flip this completely. They pay themselves first. Savings and investments come out automatically before they even see the money. By putting in place an automatic wire transfer from your bank account to your investments in stocks or in Bitcoin, for example, the exact day your salary arrives, so it's not even discipline at this point, it's having a system. So why don't most people do this? Because spending feels like living. And I've been there, the brand new car, the designer brands, the latest phone upgrade, you told yourself you really need that. That's the feeling of arriving somewhere. There's a real high in all of it for about a few hours and then it fades. And what's left? A brand new car that lost 30% of its value the moment you drove it home. So thousands of euros lost instantly. So we need to stop all of this. And every client of mine who made the same shift told me the same thing. They didn't feel deprived. They felt even more free and empowered by less consumption. And one more thing worth naming is to buy things on sale. Because this is pure psychology. A 40% discount is not a deal if you didn't need it in the first place. And marketing is extraordinarily good at making you feel like you're winning while your account moves in the wrong direction. And again, all of these habits have one thing in common. They are emotional decisions wearing the mask of financial ones. Validation, needs for validation, FOMO, the need to feel a certain way right now. That's the consumer identity. And it's incredibly expensive. So the shift is I become an owner and not a consumer. And an owner of its money automates his savings before the money hits his account. So if you are in debt, I invite you to make a strategy to pay off that debt, because an owner is not in debt or not a bad debt. And the strategy has to be to make more money, not just to think that your actual salary alone can fix it. If you are not in debt, the owner identity will build a 3 to 6 month emergency buffer untouchable, so that you check your spending every few days, because again, small leaks are invisible until you look. And before any non-essential purchase, ask honestly, is this adding to my life or feeding a short-term emotion? And for my neurodivergent friends who thrives on dopamine as I do, give yourself 24 hours before any big purchase. Becoming an owner instead of a consumer is a mindset before it's ever a bank balance number. So good. We talked about becoming an owner, but the money and the savings, as you know, once you get there, I need you to remember that this money that's sits in your bank account still moves backward with inflation. So not investing makes you poor, which brings us to shift number 2, from saver to investor. Two people, same age, same salary, same starting point. Person A keeps everything in savings, feels responsible, tells themselves they'll invest when they understand it better, when the market settles, when they have more to put in. For them, there is always a reason to wait. Person B starts small and starts now, today, imperfectly, before feeling ready, but consistently invests. 10 years later, and I've watched this play out with real people, person A is still waiting and still kind of in the same financial position. Person B has an investment portfolio allowing them to quit their 9 to 5, travel and follow their passion project. And here's what most people don't face about keeping money in a bank. You're not protecting it, you're losing it. Inflation eats its value every year. Your bank gives you 1%, maybe 2%, or even 0% for the Swiss people who look at this video. But real inflation runs at 10% and more. So you are then moving backwards while thinking you stand still. And that's not safety, that's fast financial erosion, even though you thought you were playing safe. So the number one reason people don't invest isn't lack of money, it's fear. Fear of getting it wrong, a need for certainty in a space that never offers it. Perfectionism, waiting they know enough, which somehow never arrives. And I understand it personally. When I moved into this world of investing, the fear was real. But here's what I learned. The assets that build long-term wealth, real estate, stocks, businesses, Bitcoin, none of them reward the person who waited for certainty. They reward the person who started the fastest, even with small amount, and stayed consistent long enough for time to do its work. And again, saving is not the same as investing. Yes, saving is better than overspending, but saving more than this 3-6 months of expenses buffer does not make sense financially because inflation will eat your money. So maybe you've heard this before, but you cannot save your way to financial freedom. At some point, your money has to work harder than you. Now shift number 3, and it's not necessarily in order, but it's to become responsible. Here's something I've noticed working with clients across Europe. Most people don't avoid their finances because they don't care. They avoid them because engaging with money brings up feelings they would rather not sit with, like shame, overwhelm, that quiet dread of opening a bank statement and seeing a number you didn't want to see. So they don't open it. They swipe without checking. They pay the credit card minimum without running the actual numbers. And here's what those numbers actually look like. The average credit card interest rate is 22%. So this kind of debt compound against you every single month. Credit card companies don't offer convenience out of generosity. They build a business model on your avoidance. So the third shift is to go from avoider to responsible. So stop making the bank richer, please. Here, not tracking expenses is the same pattern, and I call it lifestyle inflation for those who recognize themselves. When you start to earn more money and you increase your expenses as well to match it, and because you're not necessarily looking, you avoid, you can't really see it happening. So if you want financial freedom, I invite you to not increase your lifestyle when your revenues increase. As a matter of fact, I invite you to always try to reduce your expenses and increase your income. It should be a constant mindset. In this case, we want to be responsible, right? So becoming a money tracker isn't a punishment. It's the identity that gives you your power back. And so have some expenses, of course, for joy, for fun, for investing in your business and education, for sure. But everything that does not make your life better long-term has to be removed. Then there is taxes. Taxes are another place where avoidance is expensive. I specialize in international tax optimization because most people overpay, not because the system forces them to, but because they avoid the subject. Knowing just the basics means you keep more of what you earn. So that's only education. And I will not dive too much into tax optimization today, but take a second just to subscribe to this channel so that you will understand and know more in the next ones. And one more thing is investing in things you don't understand. Someone hands money to a financial advisor and completely disengage. I understand the impulse of doing that, but this is also money avoidance, identity of an avoider, and you want to be responsible. Every time you let let other people manage your money, you are acting irresponsible. And of course, this is the best way to not get ahead financially, because the brutal reality is this: no one cares about your money as much as you do, or as much as you should do. A financial advisor manages hundreds of portfolios, and I know it because I was in the wealth management industry. And let me tell you that even the incentives are not aligned with yours. Or maybe if you are multimillionaires, you work with private banks and family offices, but most of you are not there yet. So do not let other people manage your money. You want to be responsible. And I'm telling you this because in every client or community member that I work with, I see that this is where they lose the most amount of money. They invest in some retirement funds, some life insurances, savings, bank products, savings account, real estate completely managed by professionals. That's where they lose the most amount of money. So now that you are responsible, you review your finances every week, you track expenses every few other days, because awareness is where control begins. Learn how also tax optimization works in your country, understand the real cost of debt before you use it or even after, and put your entire life, financial life on paper. Where is your money basically? So confidence with money doesn't come from having more of it, it comes from engaging with it, especially when it's uncomfortable. So here, 3 identity shifts in this video: consumer to owner, saver to investor, avoider to responsible. So here you learn that wealth isn't created by one great investment or one lucky bet. It's created by becoming the kind of person who naturally, repeatedly makes smart decisions. Therefore, stop working this hard and book in your agenda a dedicated time to apply the knowledge you learn here every week, because your financial future is not determined by what you earn, it is determined by who you become and the daily new financial habits you'll make. Thank you for your time and attention. Every week on this channel, we go deeper into wealth management and the mindset required to build financial freedom with purpose. And remember, it's easier to get there with the right people around you. So if you want to join a community of entrepreneurs and beginners investors like yourself who apply every week this knowledge, follow me on Instagram. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.